Hey, and welcome back, everyone, to a brand new episode of the Journey Beyond podcast. Today's episode is really dedicated to personal development and the 5 life-changing tips that changed my life forever. Because personal development was given to me at the age of 19. I was first introduced to it when I was 19 years old. I was in college, in university at that time, studying something that I didn't really know what I should do with. I was lacking a lot of perspective. I was lacking a lot of vision because I couldn't see myself in that field continuing or building a career upon it for the next 20, 30, 40 years. I, at that point, was very lost in my life. I couldn't really understand what my gifts were, what my skills were. I had a very low self-confidence, very insecure, an introvert at best. I was very extroverted with people that I was very close to, my best friends and family, right? But for everyone else, I really felt like I lacked the skill set to communicate properly with them and to express myself, express my desires, express my needs. And there, the first kind of glimpse came in because I was approached one Friday evening having a drink in town with friends by a really old school friend of mine that I haven't seen for a couple of years since he graduated. And he approached me while having a drink together, and he said, well, I'm part of this new network of entrepreneurs, all in your age class, that, are college dropouts as well. Not all of them, but some are college dropouts as well. And they've changed their life entirely because they got into personal development and started learning and became or received a greater vision for their life and what they can do with their skills. At first, I was very skeptical because I looked at him and I said, that sounds kind of like a typical pyramid scheme. As a business network, doing business, there were certain companies which were not really credible at that time curating, and I first of all rejected it at first. But lucky for me, that specific friend came popping up into my life for the next 4 months consistently. He texted me, he messaged me, we met randomly in town where he always talked about this business network, this group of individuals that really took life a little bit more serious. And after 4 months of just listening to it as a bypasser, I said, you know what? I'm going to come to one of these meetings. I'm going to come to one of these visits because I'm curious. I want to find out if that's actually something that could interest me. Why not give it a try? So the first lesson that I've learned at the age of 19 is that you don't know what you don't know. The world of information is so vast and we are so limited to our little spectrum and our perception of the world, what we know, what we've experienced, and everything else is like a cask being put on your vision and you're unable to see beyond that specific cask, right? Your view is so fixed on what you've experienced and your perception of reality that everything else is basically not existing yet. So my lesson that I've learned, I went to this meeting, I've met the most incredible people I could have possibly ever met. Individuals that at the age of 24, 25 built multiple businesses, became multimillionaires, were so entrenched into personal development that they changed their life starting from the same perspective that I had on life. University dropout, no perspective in life, no vision, over to someone who was super successful, super knowledgeable, smarter than everyone else that I knew in university at the same age. And this really trickled and started the inner spark because there's one specific individual who I like to thank over and over and over again throughout my years, Luke Hessler, who became my mentor, an American entrepreneur who as well at the age of 21, 22, 23 became super successful. And he started impacting so many people around him because his inner flame, his inner spark, that leadership that he was able to portray or was able to show and to give to everyone around him, regardlessly, leading through God, leading through your heart, being compassionate and empathic, and wanting a greater and better world for everyone, that spark just got me. I don't know what happened, but we were at this event venue in Rome, where we were chilling at an Airbnb with around 15 other people, and we had those mastermind evenings, sitting at the pool talking about, the law of attraction, what life what life is all about and why it's important to keep improving yourself, to learn from different angles, start seeing life through different lenses. And until that point, I did not really go into personal development yet. I was into watching YouTube videos about it, and I was, while being with other people, talked about it. I listened a little bit because I didn't really understand. It was such a new world for me until Luke Hessler at that point gave me his version of Think and Grow Rich from Napoleon Hill, filled with notes, right? He gave me that book to read, and while we were in Rome, I read it within 2 days. I finished that book within 2 days, and it changed. It was like the big bang in my brain where everything was just exploding because I started understanding what they meant. I started seeing and understanding that there is so much that I don't know, and I was so unaware to what there is out there that I simply had to take one step into the right direction, be open-minded, and whenever there's something that interested me, I from there on out just approached it and said, hey, I'm curious. Let me learn more about this, or can you teach me, or what is there to learn about it? And all of a sudden, your worldview broadened and expanded to an extent that I today, like due to that event in Rome, I always thank Luke again because he changed my life forever. He probably doesn't even know today anymore that, he changed my life through that moment, but I thanked him so many times over the years, and I will for the rest of my life because this was the starting point for me. So I didn't know what I didn't know. I was unaware of the possible world that lays behind that curtain of that my perception of my reality limited, where I really had to break through that barrier and step into the unknown, step into the uncomfortable world of being new to a certain topic, being very unintelligible or unknowledgeable about that specific topic, and being a noob, right? Being an absolute amateur and being willing to learn. Your willingness to learn determines the level of growth that you will achieve through in any specific topic. So if you say I already know it all, there's probably not that much to learn, you will always stay stuck at a certain level. You will plateau out in your development. But this specific moment and being able to go beyond, stepping into the unknown and taking a risk, because I didn't know what would bring this world of personal development or this world of entrepreneurship and business for me, because at that time I dropped out of university for it, right? I was not really paying attention to the classical way that was given to me. And I was following a vision that was so far away, but felt so good in my heart. This inner flame kept rising and grinding and just growing that I couldn't possibly understand the impact that this would leave on my life over the next 10 years that would follow. So that's the first lesson I want to give to you that changed my life forever, is that you don't know what you don't know. Become hungry and eager to learn more than your current perception of life, of reality, allows you to have. Discover what else there is out there. Discover the world of personal development. Dive into history, dive into philosophy, dive into psychology, dive into everything that somehow triggers your interest a little bit, because if there is this calling within you, this little, maybe I want to know what's out there, what's up there, go discover. That's what life is all about, the experiences that we make. So that is the first lesson that changed my life forever at the age of 19. The second one came shortly after, a couple of years after, around 3-4 years after, when I was around 22, 23. I understood that at that point I was still doing network marketing, or I was still in this world of business entrepreneurship. I basically had a great surrounding of friends that all thought alike. I differentiated myself from people that were not really sharing my worldviews, or were basically not accepting my worldviews and were kind of like making fun of me for being like not going the traditional route. So I kind of cut them all loose, all of them. It's quite sad to think about, but most of my friends, my closest friends that I have in my life right now, only go back 10 years. Because I probably, with most of them, I can count maybe 1 or 2 that I kept contact with. Because right now, funny enough, we reconnected because they are on a similar level when it comes to personal development, sometimes it's important to cut loose people in your life that no longer fit your energy, your vibe, because inevitably, lesson number 2, the environment and the circle that you keep around you, your closest friends, your closest people, your average of 5 people that you spend the most time with, determines who you will become and the trajectory your life will take. Because for me at that point, I realized that the more I hang out with people who were smoking a lot of weed, who were partying a lot, and who were, basically gossiping around everyone in their surrounding, the more I became like them. The more I smoked weed, the more I drank alcohol, and the more I started gossiping about on people around me. But the moment I started shifting this perspective, and the moment I started hanging out more with people who were into personal developments, that were somehow into religion or faith, that were into business and wanted to create more impact in the world, and that were working on their health, on their mental health, the more I became like them. So at this point, do a little check for yourself. Take some time to think about who are the 5 closest people that I'm spending my most time with right now. Ask yourself, am I maybe the average of them? Right? If you have someone who's lazy, I can guarantee you're going to be the 5th one. If you have someone who is eager to learn, I can promise you will be the 5th one. So your circle determines who inevitably you will become. It is plays such a major part, a major role in your life, that it will determine the trajectory for your entire life. The average of the 5 people you spend the most time with is who you inevitably will become. So I started spending more time. I started gathering and being interested in getting to know people who were just into the same fields: business, psychology and personal development, spiritual development. So people who were going into different routes, who tried meditations, who went deeper into the field of holistic health, or who were into plant medicine, who had already LSD experiences or ayahuasca. I became interested into them because I wanted to know more. And if I look at my friend circle today, my 5 closest friends are into personal development, spiritual development, health and mental well-being, and into business. I'm the 5th one, right? So these are the 4 people, and I make the 5th out of it. I make the average out of them. So start understanding and going into fields and start getting into environments with people who are just like you, who follow your interests, who follow who you want to become or who are already there, and start learning from them. Start associating yourself more with them, because I promise you will become like them. You will become the 5th one of the group. Lesson number 3, I learned then in my mid-20s, around 2-3 years later. Again, I was 25, 26, and I really I had this little breakdown of in my life, because it was COVID times, where I really had to take a good perspective. Online business was not working at the moment. I kind of dropped out of this business group per se, because I had this little, personal identity crisis. I didn't know who I was. I couldn't identify myself anymore with this sales guy, this guy that was really good at, presenting, doing presentations and public speaking. So I went into this little hole where I had to find another interest, a new interest, something that, something that could give me a little bit more closure. And throughout this crisis, throughout this time where I was not feeling so good, I started relying and getting more interested into the spiritual realm. So I wanted to understand, why are things happening in the world right now as they're happening? Why are certain energies really pushing down on people? And what's the result? What's the elixir against these negative energies that are trying to push everyone down in their consciousness? I know I'm using already the terms, but throughout this, I really started learning and getting into the world of holistic remedies, energy work, meditation. And through this entire concept, the world of plants came closer to me. And I started experiencing or having more experiences in the realm of, let's say, psychedelic mushrooms or ayahuasca, right? I've so far had 4 ayahuasca experiences, and they've changed my life forever. Because the simple essence, I mean, I could do a whole series just on these experiences, what it brought me, what I learned about life, about my life, and about the conscious, bigger spectrum of life. But if I could take one thing out of it, it's this. Lesson number 3 is that learn how to become aware of both sides of the mirror. Whenever you're having an argument with someone, don't only push or pour your opinion on that person, wanting the other person to accept your opinion, and not really having the awareness and the perspective for what the other person might be thinking. Because that's important. It's becoming aware that there's always 2 sides of a coin. If I would hold a coin up right now into the screen, I would only see the side that is facing me, and you would only see the side that is facing you, right? Same with, I don't know. Let me take this thing, right? You would only see the side that you are seeing. I'm seeing only the side that I'm seeing. But if I would actually start becoming a little bit more aware, maybe start creating more empathy for a situation, for a person, for a moment, I can start having that obstacle turn until the moment where I see what you are seeing. And I can promise you, this skill of being able to look at 2 sides, being able to put myself in the shoes of another person, try to create empathy and compassion for what the other person is saying, thinking, or feeling, improved my relationships 100-fold. It made me into a better, more comprehensive man. It made me more aware. It made me more compassionate in relationships, in my personal relationships with my partner, because I learned that, oh well, maybe I was wrong. Because again, you don't know what you don't know. I only know my perception of reality, but what if that other person has another perception of reality? What if I can't grasp that perception yet? What if we are talking in 2 different languages? Maybe we need to synchronize. And if the other person is not able or willing to go down to my level of communication, maybe I have to go up to her level of communication. And all of a sudden, you start understanding. You start becoming more aware, more wiser when it comes to people, working with people. Because you can put yourself in their shoes, see the world through their lens, and then make a rational decision. Then have an argument, or then, maybe even retract and say, hey, you are right. I was not seeing this right now. I had my opinion and my vision, but I could not see what you were thinking and you were feeling right now, or what you were seeing. But now I understand. And maybe this element looks different from your side. You're right. I could only see it from my side. You are right. See? Becoming more forgiving, becoming more one, being able to let go of your own ego was one of the biggest lessons that I've learned. Being able to let go of your ego and create compassion for one another, being able to see life through another lens than your own. Wow. I promise you, this will transform your life forever if you truly start understanding the essence of it. If you implement it and learn that there are multiple experiences, a multiverse of experiences happening at the same time, wow, your awareness for life, for yourself, and for consciousness will expand to a point where it can never go back to where it is right now. So that's lesson number 3. Lesson number 4, I learned as well during COVID times, because at that point I met a person who became another mentor of mine. Someone who I felt so inspired with, because he had multiple black belts in different martial arts. He climbed the Everest. He did most of the mountains. He was a spiritual and a warrior at heart, and a spiritual leader, which really I felt through his energy, through his resonance. And I became eager again, and I wanted to learn from him. So he decided to commit in coaching me, and I created this group of friends because I didn't want to experience this blessing all by myself. So I invited my closest 4 friends, so we were 5, and we were learning from him, training twice a week in martial arts, in spiritual warfare, and in spiritual mind resilience trainings, and we did crazy things together, which were so unbelievably beautiful. But there was one concept that I actually tattooed on my arm that stuck with me ever since. Because whenever something was going good and all of a sudden the mood shifted and it started getting bad, we as humans, we like reacting emotionally on these events happening. But what he taught me is that whenever something was going good and then turning bad, instead of reacting negatively or having an emotional reaction to it, he just said, it's okay. It's okay. I can't even describe you how many times he said the word or the words, it's okay. I don't know, my grandpa died and I felt really shit. It's okay. This too shall pass. This emotional whirlwind too shall pass. Whenever I was in a financial difficult situation, it's okay. You'll get out of it. It's okay. And whenever he said that, he presented it with such a calm, such a presence, such a knowingness that it got me every single time, and it took me right out of that emotional state. So that phrase, it's okay, is a reference to whatever is happening in life. Life is a constant whirlwind of polarities. There's sun and there's moon, there's heat and there's cold, there's up and there's down, there's left and there's right. There's always polarities, polar extremes that make up this world. Without it, we wouldn't exist, right? Without the moon, there wouldn't be any gravitational pull of the seas. So probably there would be floods all over the world and we couldn't even exist. Without the sun, nothing could grow. So same as the moon and the sun are kissing each other hello and goodbye every single day, in the same manner, good things and bad things will come to you. They will happen. Suffering is an inevitable part of life. And the more we start getting okay with the fact that suffering is an inevitable part of life, same as happiness, contentment, and pleasure and joy are part of life, the more you start leaving these extremes and all of a sudden start mediating and creating a stable situation, a stable perspective, a stable mindset, a resilience, a mental and emotional resilience that whatever comes can shake you up just a little bit, but it will not affect you because you can get yourself out of it right away. You know that this is part of it, and no matter how bad it is right now, maybe it gets worse, yeah, but after that point, it will go better again. The only thing that is constant is death. Everything else is constantly changing. So the mentality of it's okay got so stuck within me that I started using it with friends and family around me. Whenever something bad was happening in their life, they came to me and they complained about whatever financial mess they got into, and everything I could respond to them, it's okay. It's okay. This too shall pass. So I started becoming the it's okay guy. And I love it because I embody that. I embody that mindset of it's okay because we don't know what we don't know, right? We know that suffering is part and joy is part. And either this is, today is joy, tomorrow is suffering. Whatever day it will come, it will not influence you as bad anymore. You will find your middle ground and you will, set your roots deep. So even the hardest wind will not shake you and will not break you. So that's tip number 4. And tip number 5 was the most recent one. Because over the last 3 years, something came very close to me. I always thought, until very early on, that I was an atheist. I didn't believe in God. I believed in science. And the moment personal development came by, I started believing in the universe, right? But not God. God as this religious construct, this figure, did not exist. And Jesus, I was like, well, it's just a story that somebody made up. That was me at the time. Until I reached my absolute low point. The furthest low I've probably ever experienced in my life, around 3 years ago. And everything started crumbling around me. Everything. I heard this saying in this Modern Wisdom podcast by Chris Williamson the other day, where he was talking to Ryan Holiday, the author of Stoic Wisdom, where they talked about nobody believes in God until they're in their absolute lowest point. Because if you have nothing anymore, if there's nothing left to hold on to, the one thing that you will start holding on to is God and faith. And I've experienced that. I mean, I've had contacts to God and to that entity out there that is the creator of the world already 5-6 years ago. But I was like, it's I'm learning a little bit about it, but not fully believing in it until I've reached that low point. And that low point brought me on my knees, and kind of like automatically, I couldn't even control my movements. I started praying and I started talking to God, and I started asking him, hey, why is this happening? What are you trying to tell me? So even if it was not my first reaction, I didn't know what to do anymore. I already cried. I already screamed. I was already angry and frustrated, dissatisfied, completely broken down. The last thing that came to me was believing, having faith. And I can't even explain you what happened after that, but there was a chain of events that happened and that spread out where I all of a sudden started feeling more and more presence in my life. The more I started believing and showing faith towards God, the more presence He gave me in my life. And this changed me. This made me into the person who I am today. Because the growth that I made through my faith, through believing in God, through praying to Him, through talking to Him. Because you don't need to go to a church, fold your hands, go on your knees, and be in a church to have contact with God. Your prayers can be in the silent moment when you close your eyes, or even when you have your eyes open. It is just connecting your heart with something higher than yourself, connecting it with that internal or infinite love that you feel, and being in that moment and just opening your heart, letting it radiate out and see what's coming back. This feeling of believing, showing more faith, working more, becoming more one with God, communicating more often with Him, enabled so many beautiful things in my life. So many prayers and so many manifestations that I tried to do through the classical scientific law of attraction way never really happened until I truly started opening my heart and started feeling what I really wanted. I started lovingly letting it out of my heart because it was kind of like tainting my beautiful soul. I let those wishes and desires go with love, and all of a sudden they started coming back to me, multiple fold. I have the most beautiful friend circle I could ever wish for right now, the most beautiful relationship I could ever wish for right now. And there's many things that I know that I'm manifesting actively right now in my life because I'm portraying them out there with so much love and so much conviction and so much belief that anything can happen in life, and I can create anything that I would love to create because He's doing it for me. I'm still not going to the church. I've started reading the Bible, but I still haven't finished the Bible. Like I'm not that far in my journey yet. But having this faith and finding this faith in my absolute low point and starting to believe in it changed my life forever, and I never want to go back from it. Because it's the most loving relationship that you could possibly ever harness. It's the most loving connection with a non-visual thing, entity, person that you could possibly ask for. And the beautiful thing is, He or it is always forgiving. No matter what you do, He's always forgiving. He always just shows you love. over and over and over again. And this filled my heart. My cup is absolutely full. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing. This is why I'm going out there and, creating content every single day. This is why I'm wanting to help more people out there in their personal development journey, to coach them, to be able to be their coach, to guide them into their truth, into their light. And this is why my fire and my calling inside of me is so big and so bright that I just have to radiate it out, because I know that this is my calling from God. I know this is my purpose for my life, to change 1 million lives, to change as many people, or help them, find more to themselves. Not necessarily religiously, if they don't want to, but their truth, their identity, uncovering who they truly are, finding their love in their life and in their heart. And that's the reason why I'm doing these podcasts. So these 5 lessons changed my life forever. And I hope some of the things that I said resonated with you. I hope that you can, read between the lines of what I was saying here, and that at some point you learn these lessons in your words, you think back and you're like, Tim talked about them. And if you want to find out more about my coaching, my Authentic Self Blueprint, that is a 3-month coaching container where I help people go through 3 phases of reveal, realign, and recode, to basically break down their entire identity and restructure it from the bottom up, so they become more aligned and live more authentically as who they are and who they want to be. If you're interested and curious in that, you can find more information on my website, timaltenhofen.com, or I post a lot on my TikTok channel, or Identity Coach Tim, or Instagram, tim.altenhofen. You can find more information on there. And I wish you all a beautiful rest of your day, a blessed rest of your week. And as I always say, see you in the next one.